I'm Kelly Lewis.
And I'm Tiffany Jones, and we're your Revenue Insiders.
If you're enjoying the Revenue Insiders, we'd love your support. Follow us, rate, and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Your feedback helps us grow and reach more listeners like you.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the season finale of the Revenue Insiders. I'm Tiffany Jones, your Revenue Insider.
Yes, and I am Kelly Lewis. I can't believe we are finishing up season 1, but don't worry, we will be back again end of August, but excited to close up our season with a recap of what's happened in 2025 so far.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I can't believe, well, one, end of season 1. This is super exciting. We started this in September and it's been a fun journey. But 2, that it's been 6 months since we did our prediction episode. It feels, even when we were going through the data, it was like, it's only halfway through 2025, but so much of it is already grounded in real stats. So I'm excited to kind of talk about where our predictions are at and which ones we got right and what's stagnating. And then I think we should add some few more to talk about in the beginning of season 2.
Absolutely.
Yeah. World's changing. Great.
Okay, so when you think about our original prediction, there were some that we maybe didn't get wrong, but we haven't seen come to light yet. Yet is the word. So you want to talk us through one of those?
I think both of these that I think we got wrong, in my opinion, are related to the economy and the speed in which we're moving. That was a prediction. It wasn't directly part of what we talked about back in January, but definitely plays an impact on all of the go-to-market space. And so one of the ones that I made, a prediction I made that I don't think has really come to fruition yet, is around revenue strategy roles or strategy leaders kind of moving into the CRO role. I haven't seen as much movement in the general people space of go-to-market in this first half of this year. And I think a lot of that's just related to the economy. A lot of companies are still kind of on the stale growth side right now.
Yeah, though PwC we did some data analysis. 18% of Fortune 500 companies did add this role. So it's true. It's not that it didn't happen at all. Just maybe not at the pace we thought it would. But I still think it's trending in the right direction, which is exciting for us in go-to-market. The other one that I thought was going to be true and we haven't seen come to light, and I think is due to the economy, is the Great Resignation 2.0.
Yes. Yeah.
I think this was recorded before inauguration. This was recorded before any of the new economic trends that we've seen were happening. And so I think everyone was feeling really excited about what could happen in 2025 from an economy standpoint. And so we were thinking that there was going to be a lot of turnover in jobs. I still am seeing people switch jobs more than they thought. Yeah. But I think the data said that they're only seeing about 11% turnover in tech right now.
Yeah. Certainly not peaking, not Great Resignation yet. I certainly don't see it in my teams today on either side, right? I don't think we're pushing anyone out, nor do I think that I see a lot of people actively looking to leave, but I don't know that 2025 still has 6 months to go. So I don't know that I'm counting this one out yet for the year.
Yeah, no, I'm not yet either. I think there's a lot to be said about where the economy goes in the next 6 months. And I think that will definitely influence both of those predictions there.
Yeah. The economy and AI companies in general, the speed at which AI companies are being spun up, that's where, thinking back to predictions, we had just lost a leader in our company who went to this fast AI startup. And I felt like we were going to see a lot more of that. And I haven't yet. So I think there's more of that pent up tension ready to happen. So we'll see.
Absolutely. Well, some of our predictions we are starting to see happen, backed up by data. One of those for me was around the product enablement specialist. So I had a prediction that we were going to see this focus on product enablement because of how fast AI is transforming every product on the market, that we were going to need to, enable our teams at a different speed. Actually, according to the LinkedIn job posting data, roles for product enablement grew 58%, which I think we can say it's pretty great. I also, though, the data showed that that's mostly in tech, which I guess does align to our prediction. I do think as other industries start putting AI to whatever type of workflows they have, you might see that
Yeah.
prediction grow as well there, but it has been mostly in tech.
Yeah. I hired a product enablement specialist. They actually started today.
Well, thanks.
I'm
Thanks
part of,
for giving me some percentage there. I'm sure.
yeah. Yeah. A little bit of confirmation bias, I feel like, between the two of us. But I didn't
Yeah,
know I was going to hire that person back then. I also made a bet around non AI product innovation. I thought that we would start to see like kind of some AI buzzword type stuff fade away and people start to invest. And we're seeing a little bit of that. I think this is a slower one too, but we're definitely seeing some signs of that. The data says, Crunchbase data actually says it's been a 22% increase in funding for non AI tools in just Q1. So we don't even have the data for Q2 yet, which is a pretty big increase given the economy that we talked about that's slowing some of the earlier ones. So I think that one's starting to show some reality at least.
absolutely. And I think we'll continue to see that because you have to balance your portfolio.
Yeah, you do. Although when it comes to niche software purchases, we talked about like consolidation versus like staying best in class. Um, the scope at which AI tools are growing, the rapid pace at which they're evolving, I think we're seeing both. Like we're seeing this like evolution of tools consolidating, like your structural tools consolidating. But I mean, just even our AI AMA series that we ran through this back half of the season, which we weren't planning to do, like there are so many tools out there that other like larger companies like Salesforces and CRMs and your outreach sales loft gong, like those consolidating tools, like aren't even touching that space yet.
Totally. Yeah, I thought the data was really interesting. Lean Data came out with a survey that said RevOps teams are claiming about a 39% increase in these best of breed tech stacks, which I'm not surprised by. I think you're seeing purchases of these best of breed solutions. My guess, and this is just if I was purchasing them, you aren't purchasing them for more than a year, though.
Yes.
I bet that 3-year contract is nice to
Yeah.
have, but I would never sign it anymore because of the way things are moving too quickly. There's certain things, your bigger platform solutions, you're going to want to lock in pricing. But for these best of breed solutions, I think you're seeing an increase because they're willing to only sign year contracts, knowing that that's the market. And you want to test it out and see if it works.
Yeah. The innovation, like the rapid pace of innovation and what you can't even imagine what's going to exist 6 months from now at this point. And so signing anything more than a year, like you have to, yeah, I think it's very specific to like platform, like core operations that you need to run that qualify for that above 1 year signature right now.
We'll talk about this a little bit in some of our predictions that are definitely happening, but this has huge impacts on customer success. When you're only signing 1-year contracts
Yes.
with vendors that are used to getting 3-year contracts, they have to significantly adapt how they work and operate and how they go for those renewals as early as possible. And
Yeah.
so it's maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, but I predict something is going to have to change when you have CFOs refusing to sign any contract over a year.
Yeah. That'll be interesting. Okay. Save future predictions for
Yes, I
our
will.
lead.
I will. Sorry, got ahead of
I have
myself.
one too. But no, we hit some that are definitely happening though. When we talked about our predictions, there are some that like, I mean, I think we're halfway through the year and we call them a win. Like we nailed them and maybe they were obvious, but 6 months in, something like the AI productivity KPIs, I was in a board meeting just a few weeks ago and like it is such a large percentage of the conversation. And even Gartner reported now that 42% of boards in Q1 are asking for AI KPIs and tracking as part of their board meetings and their board expectations. Microsoft is talking about it in their earnings call. Like it is a thing and it's obviously not going away. That's not something that's going to shift in the back half of this year.
Yeah, and I think on that prediction, you see the emails from like the CEO of Shopify talking about you should be thinking about how you can use AI in your job, and you should be thinking about what that I do today is replaceable by AI. So how
Yeah.
do I make my career and what I offer to the company not replaceable by AI? And so I do hope that some of these stats are kind of putting us all in a situation where we think about what we offer and how we can differentiate ourselves in this world.
I will say, I think having your own point of view and thought leadership is a great way to
Yes,
differentiate. So if
I
you are
agree.
not following us and you're listening right now, follow us on whatever you're listening to us on, because that's exactly what we're aiming to do, AI or not. But yeah, I think you're 100% right. We're having those conversations internally, and we're not taking, there are some companies that are saying they're so AI forward that they're replacing jobs with AI. That is not the world that at least I'm living in right now, or I see like day to day. But you should be replacing components of your day to day with AI. And that's definitely 100% expected beyond just what the board's asking, like I think what like leaders are looking for out of everyone that they work with.
Absolutely. So the next one that we got right goes back to what I was just talking about, which is that post sales experience and the differentiation there. So our original prediction was that you're going to see a lot of AI involved in post sales, but also that buyers really want to understand what that handoff looks like between AI and a person. And so we've got some really interesting data from Forrester in their 2025 CX index revealed that 67% of B2B buyers rank seamless human AI handoffs as a top vendor criteria. And
Wow.
that does not surprise me. I actually think that
Yep.
number's low.
Yeah.
If I was going to market and I was talking to a vendor, I would want to know what that integration is. So my prediction looking forward is that we could see that number spike by another 20%.
Yeah, easily. I think easily. And I would love to get, like, we had Natalie on a prior episode this season, and I think her perspective on this prediction and how it's going to continue to evolve. We'll have to follow up with that. We'll get some clips from Natalie giving us some insights. But yeah, the world of CS is just going to continue to evolve as you put more AI and tool sets on the front end of the selling process, for sure. We also talked about TikTok style enablement, and I feel like we were part of making this come true. So we spoke at an event this past spring, and we talked about this a lot. The audience there was so into the conversation around TikTok style enablement, or like the very small bite-sized enablement. And you have companies like, we both read the book by the CEO of Speckit. There are tons of different companies out there really diving into this, both big and small. Like, this isn't something just tech startups are doing. It is a new style of learning, and there is a 200% year over year growth in this type of adoption, according to the data. And so this is another one that I think you're just going to see huge spikes in this, because people have to have such high agility in the learning that they're doing, which means they have to consume things in a way that makes sense for them. And this is it. This is the world we're living in right
I know this is one of those ones that I can't decide if we made it come true or if it just happened to come true, because I do think this concept comes up in every conversation I'm in when we're talking about adult learning and enablement. Everyone's trying to think about how you make this more streamlined, how you make it bite-sized, because learners don't learn the way they used to learn in the past. Maybe they never did, but maybe we're just accepting it now. But with the technology and how we do things in our personal lives, that's coming across to work. And so I look forward to the advancements we're going to see here from the different technology vendors. There are definitely some best of breed solutions out there that I think are doing an awesome job at this. We had two of them at least on our series, Udly and Eris. I think we're going to continue to see more and more of that. And I hope the bigger enablement vendors also take an approach here.
now. Yeah, same. Back to the consolidation conversation. Like, I'm really looking forward to some of the bigger players either acquiring or deeply partnering with some of these AI tools to make the adoption of like these fantastic things that are coming to market so much easier within the constructs of like the MSAs that you already have written and in place with them. So yeah. Okay. Before we talk about some updated predictions, let's do a flash grade. What grade would you give us at the middle of the year for our predictions?
I'd actually give us a pretty high score.
Oh, okay.
I don't think anything was amiss. We had the two that haven't happened yet, but I still think there's a yet in that statement. So, what are we grading on? A 1 to 10?
I was thinking like an A B.
Okay, I'll give us a B plus.
I was going to go B plus. Yeah, I think that's right. That's what I was thinking. I think, yeah, I think we're really close on a lot of this stuff. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the economy changes and like how some of these like continue to evolve in the back half of the year.
Do you think because things are changing so fast, if we were creating a brand new episode on predictions for the next 6 months and not just doing a couple new spicy takes, I would
Yeah.
feel a little less confident, because I do think things are happening so fast. Every conversation I'm in, every leader I'm talking to has a little bit of a I think I've got a strategy. I think I've got a plan, but I also maybe know nothing.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about this. I talked about it in a LinkedIn post that I did. Like, there's this concept of like crossing the chasm. If you don't know what that is, like, definitely read about that. But it's like we're constantly crossing chasms right now. Like, it isn't like one big shift. Like, every new iteration or use case of AI is this like mind blowing shift to how your workday enables you. And you're constantly trying to like learn and absorb. And sometimes, like, you and I live and breathe this, like, one, because we talk about it like in these conversations, but just in our day jobs, like our teams expect us to like understand this, people that we work with and have conversations with. But there are so many people that haven't crossed all of these chasms yet. Like, we're still like, everyone's on this different path. And so the speed of change and the volume of it that it appears as is just, yeah, I don't know that we could be like this accurate from like in a whole list of predictions going forward.
I think it's going to be way harder.
Yeah.
But I know we do have some spicy takes
Okay.
on maybe what we think is going to happen in the second half of the year.
Yes.
Okay, Tiffany, why don't you start?
I think that we are going to see it's a twofold take. So, AI driven forecasting. I think that one, we've seen some players, we didn't get to talk to really any of them like in our AMA series, but I've seen some players and I think that that is going to explode. And I think the Clarys and the Salesforces, like with Einstein's and their AI, are just going to get left in the dust if they don't keep up. Like, it's going to be a whole new market. But I think that people are going to expect way more transparency when people are using AI driven forecasts. People want to know, like, how did you come up with that? What was the logic behind it? What was the thinking it used? It's not going to be some, black box like a chat GPT interface. Like, people want to understand how it works. And so I think both of those things will be true by the end of 2025.
The other prediction along that, and I don't even know if this is a prediction, but maybe just something I'm seeing in the consulting part of my business, is companies are way more open to sharing with reps the importance of forecasting and
Mm,
putting it into terms that matter to them. I think for a really long time, reps knew that forecasting was important, but it didn't really matter to them as an individual rep whether or not they were being accurate. But I think we as go to market leaders have gotten better at transferring that conversation and the what's in it for you all the way down to the reps. So I think your prediction's even more accurate in that, yes, even the rep's going to want to know, why did you predict this and what can I do differently to change the outcome?
yeah, which is exactly the question we want people asking, right? And then I need
Yes.
tools to tell them how to change it. Like, right? That's the
Oh, you think this deal's going to push? Great. What am I missing? I
yeah.
didn't think it was going to push.
Yeah,
So tell
tell me
me.
why. Tell me what I can and tell me what I can do about it. Tell me how I change
Yeah.
it. Yeah, that's
And
yeah.
I'm not, it doesn't make you a bad rep if you miss some of that stuff because you were so in the deal. I think it's a huge advantage, just like I say, use your sales engineer for this, to use AI to help predict what are you missing? What part of the conversation didn't you hear
Yeah.
that you should be thinking about?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. So the second, I guess, spicy prediction we have is around, ooh, and this one, like, I hate to even put it out in the universe because I think
Thing.
we're gonna get feedback on it,
I
which
know, but
is hybrid human AI sales teams as a service.
it's happening.
Whew, I
I
think
know.
it's happening too. I think at the beginning of 2025, just on LinkedIn and in the spaces I'm in, people were like, yeah, but it's not good. It won't actually happen. That conversation, I'm part of Pavilion, which is an amazing go to market group. I was at an executive dinner a couple weeks ago, and the conversation shifted from the beginning of the year where, no, not going to happen. People buy from people. Well, actually, I think there are points in time where you are going to see, especially in non enterprise sales, but even portions of enterprise sales, where you are dealing with AI and talking and conversing with AI versus a person. Tiffany, what are your thoughts?
It's happening. I don't know that I love it either, but I think you need to be aware it's happening because you're going to be on the other side of it and you should be able to tell. I've seen the videos of people like doing AI interviews and they're like, "Are you AI?" and it gets like stuck in a loop and like, you can still break it, but like that's going to disappear faster than we can blink and you won't be able to break these things anymore. They will pause just like you and I are. They will say and think about their answers. Even Perplexity, when I was preparing this for this episode and asking it a bunch of questions to validate the data that we had found, it walked me through its thinking in live text and like, ooh, but you asked me to do this. Like it used the vernacular that we use and it was written, but like you can see how easily it's transformed into like the way that humans speak. And so I think this one is happening. I don't know that I love it, but we have to be on board and we have to be aware so that we know what we're dealing with when you're walking around, like talking to computers.
I think we also have to maybe accept that the reason we didn't like it or we have hesitation is because it's scary, because it takes away people's jobs. And I don't think you can hide from that. So instead, we've talked about this on other episodes. I know we talked about this on the Darren episode, which is how do you make yourself irreplaceable in the
Yeah.
sales world? So I think there's two things. You have to really think about EQ and what does separate you in those enterprise sales. And then we as an industry have to figure out how we get someone from a college grad to an enterprise salesperson when there aren't those low level jobs available to them anymore. And I think this is our biggest risk. And this is
Yeah.
another thing I talked about at that pavilion dinner is everyone's very concerned about who you hire into those enterprise sales roles.
Yeah.
If they aren't getting the on-the-job training. I think one of the answers that came up quite often was, well, you have AI train them. And I was like,
Yeah.
but I just think there's experience that's needed there too.
Yeah. I think you're right that it's the commercial side of the business that will see this because people still expect to have in-person conversations and meetings, especially in the enterprise size, mid to enterprise. And so, yeah, it's the now the question is like, how do you grow people? So I think we'll plan to spend some more time talking about that in season 2.
Yeah. I mean, I just think about it though. Like sometimes I would rather just talk to AI and ask it some questions about the product versus talking to a person.
I do all the time. I do all the time. So much research.
Well, okay. So we're giving ourselves like a BB plus.
Yeah.
But I think we have to say a farewell for season 1. I
No.
can't believe that we completed a first season. We are so thankful for all of you who are listening. You have, I don't know, shocked us and amazed us with
Yeah.
your kindness. We did not have any predictions about where the Revenue Insiders would grow when we started this. It was really just a passion project, but all of you inspire us to, do
Keep
this
going.
every week.
I'm so glad we're doing it. It's so different than what I thought it would be when we started. And the fact that we're even calling this a season and prepping for our next one is exciting in and of itself. So yeah, thank you for listening. Again, follow us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube. LinkedIn is going to be a great place to follow us, or the social media channels like Instagram and TikTok. We're on there too. While we're in a break between seasons, we'll keep sharing some nuggets of information. But our next episodes will be back towards the end of summer.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you all. And again, make sure you're following us so when we are back, you get notified.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. If you're enjoying the Revenue Insiders, we'd love your support. Follow us, rate, and leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. Your feedback helps us grow and reach more listeners like you.